Hey everybody. We are just gonna wait a moment and wait for my good friend Jimmy Jean-Louis to join us for this IG live session to discuss hashtag free Haiti and what's going on there. So I'm just gonna wait a moment and see if our dear friend Jimmy will be joining us. Hopefully here any minute. It's been a minute since I've done an IG live session too, so bear with me. I'm gonna just try and see if we got the tech going, but it should be a very, very good conversation. What's happening in Haiti right now is of prime importance to our people, Black people, period, human rights, period, and this conversation is necessary. So good to see so many great people and all of you guys saying hello, 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 hello. Let me go ahead and try Jimmy one more time right now. Obviously, you know what time it is, y'all. These things are sometimes tricky. They're a little difficult. We're working with all sorts of technology. You know, we're trying to make it work. So somebody says, I'm new. Can you please tell me about yourself? Absolutely. I can share a little bit about myself as we wait for Jimmy to join us. A little bit about myself. I am Nigerian-American. I think that's one of the first and foremost, most important things to know about me. I am Nigerian-American. I am a human rights advocate and have been involved and engaged in human rights work, gosh, for like 20 years now. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm grateful that I've been able to engage in social justice and human rights work for the amount of time that I've been, because I've seen a lot of different things over the years, and I've got to meet so many incredible people over those years, and across the world. I've got to be able to engage with different people across the world. So it's been my honor, it's been my privilege to be able to do so, and it is my hope that I'll continue to be able to do that. And this conversation is an effort to do more of that. It's just to continue that conversation. I am one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. That's another thing y'all should know about me. So I'm one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter. Back in the day, gosh, 7, almost 8 years ago now, we helped to start that. Ooh, all right. I think Jimmy's here. Let's see. I don't want to be abrupt, y'all, but you know, this is the one we've been waiting for. Hey!
It is working.
It's
magic.
Working.
Oh my Lord.
So good.
It's good. I put you on the spot just to do a monologue and a solo.
I'm like, just trying to keep the people entertained.
I know, you had to. You had an audience.
I mean, I'm trying to do what you do.
So sorry about that. I haven't done
No.
a live for a long time, so
Yeah.
I had no idea that I needed to upgrade my Instagram.
No, not a problem at all.
Okay, cool.
You made it happen. It's going. It worked.
Exactly. That's
all
the most
good.
important thing. Yeah. How are you?
I'm really well.
Yeah.
I'm really well, and I'm just happy to be having this conversation with you, because we've been in this kind of ongoing dialogue amongst ourselves and amongst some of our peers and other people around, and so I'm just excited to be here and to share some time and space with you in public to bring this conversation forward.
Yes, completely.
But first, how are you?
I'm good. I've been traveling a little bit finally lately, and but I was also in Haiti actually about 3 weeks ago. So it's really what prompted me to react a little bit more, because the situation is just not good. It's not good at all. So I was like, we need to make a bit more noise just so we can find some kind of solution.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I'm good. I'm hanging in there as like everybody else, I guess.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I know we're all making our way. You know what? I'm in California right now, and it's beautiful and sunny, so I can't complain for those reasons. But just like everybody else, navigating a lot, right? Navigating, hearing different types of news, trying to make sure that I'm taking care, of myself, of my mental health, of my
Yeah,
physical
no,
well-being.
completely.
Yeah, while also wanting to be a good steward of the platforms we have, trying to
Yeah,
be, of the organizations that we sit with, and just to really be responsive to the needs of our people, not only in the US, but, in different parts of the world.
yeah,
So,
back
I've been
home.
holding a lot of that. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
because of even what's happening in Nigeria and just in different parts. So there's a lot going on, but I think that this conversation today is really important. I think what's happening in Haiti is it has risen to the level. I think that we need the international community, not necessarily to intervene in a particular kind of way, but I think we need to have a global conversation about what is happening in Haiti. As a Pan-Africanist, as a Black woman, as a co-founder of BLM, and just for my work period with Diaspora Rising, the new platform I launched recently, and just with my commitment to Black people, as I was trying to find accurate and relevant information. I found that some of it was hard to find, or finding it in English was difficult.
Yeah.
I of course had to go to my friends like you and others to really better understand what was going on. And to me, there's just been a kind of a real silence, or
Yeah.
yeah, like
I
a
think I
palpable
think
silence. So
yeah, I think we definitely need a little bit of clarity on what's going on in the country,
yeah.
because nobody understands why Haiti is where it's at now. Even though we do have a few clues, we might
Mm-hmm.
know of some of the players, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, it feels like there are some invisible hands that are manipulating the situation just so we cannot get out of where we're at, which is heartbreaking for me being Haitian, and especially knowing the history of Haiti, having been the first Black republic to fight and win the independence.
Yeah.
And this is the result of it all. There's something very fishy about what's going on. Once again, I'll never claim to be a specialist in the matter. The only thing I'm trying to do is just raise my concern, and hopefully we can make enough noise just so the specialists can come and fix some of the problem. But
Yeah.
right now, there is definitely huge concern, because the people in Haiti cannot take it no more. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter what sector you in, doesn't matter what social class you belong, you just can't take it. So uh, something needs to be done. Maybe extreme change within the country. I don't know. As I say, I'm not the specialist, but that's really the talk right now, because the level of corruption is just, it's just too much. It's like Haiti pretty much need to come back with a clean sheet. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, really briefly, for the people who don't know what's going on in Haiti right now, the situation has been going down and down and down. And ever since, I would say for the past 8 years, but the past couple of years have been terrible. And specifically the past few months have been the worst. Meaning by that, people are living in fear for their lives. People cannot afford to get out of the streets past 5 o'clock or 6 p.m. because you have what you call a bunch of gangs, kidnappers that are kidnapping whoever they can just so they can make a buck or two. And we got to that because some of those gang leaders and kidnappers have been given arms by some other powerful people during the past few years. Powerful people in the maybe some of them from the government, some of them from the private sector, some of them people who have interest to use maybe gang leaders sometimes, to do their little things. But now those gang leaders are becoming more and more powerful, so they have lots of arms, so they dictate the situation. And now there is that little conflict going on between them and everybody else, between them and the government, between them and the private sector, between them and the Haitian people, and they're winning. they're winning so far, which is the bad thing. So yeah, so in a nutshell, that's what's going on. I'm sure we can find explanation uh, for for this kind of situation, why it got so bad. But
Right.
once
Yeah.
again, I don't want to be the one, talking too much politics.
Yeah.
We can definitely have another session with with the right people.
Yes. We can, and we most certainly will. I know over at Diaspora Rising, we're committed to doing that.
Yeah.
Hosting webinars, and of course, even now we're partnering with La Union Suites, and
Yes.
we're going to be doing a lot more in order to elevate the voices from the ground,
Yeah.
elevate the voices of various leaders, experts, folks who know both history and current context, and just really important folks that we need to be hearing from.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things I'd want us to do, because I know you said you're not the expert or you're not this, but we know you are one of the most important voices, Haitian voices, period. And while everybody's voice is incredibly important, I know that you've been such a champion for your people, for your community. And we've known each other for many years now.
Yeah.
And in part why we met was because this struggle and the manifestation of the corruption and the injustice and the violence is not new, but maybe there are new forms that have been developing and morphing over the years. And so when we first, I think, got connected, I don't know, we were talking,
I was trying to think about it the other day. It's a few years back, and it was once again. It had to do with obviously activism. It was from Christelle from Paris, who connected us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our girl Christelle, who's a phenomenal, artist and model and really accomplished. But herself, she's become just such an outspoken and brilliant advocate for migrants and for our people, period. And so she's doing a lot of that work in Paris. But yeah, I remember traveling to Paris, happening to meet her as there were African migrants and asylum seekers and refugees who were homeless, who were quite literally living under bridges. And I was supposed to be there on quote unquote vacation or sabbatical, taking a break, only to find myself confronted with the racism in Paris and France, and just the xenophobia and the lack of compassion and care, and real work and infrastructure being developed to support those communities there. And so I was confronted with that, but then I got phone calls from my former colleagues at the Black Alliance for Just Immigration who were telling me that there were hundreds and then thousands of Haitians who were at the US-Mexico border in Tijuana. Yeah. And so I was, in one part of the world while getting a call about another part of the world, and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot going on. But beyond the shock, my heart was obviously just broken, and really trying to understand what it is we could do. And so immediately you were the person. They're like, yo, gotta be in touch with, gotta be in touch with Jimmy. We gotta get in touch with the embassy. We got a bunch of different types of work. But that was kind of the context that we first were introduced, and then
I mean, it was rough, man. It was rough because first of all, I was in Paris during that time, when all the guys were sleeping under the bridges and trying to cross the border to go to England. And then I was here as well in Tijuana, just to go and visit those Haitians that were stuck on the border. And it was quite interesting because I actually did a small documentary about it with Rainn Wilson. We did a piece about that, which is something that anybody who wants to see it, they can. I think it's on YouTube. If you type Jimmy Jean-Louis and Rainn Wilson in Tijuana, you'll probably see it, and you'll realize that there were thousands of Haitians that were stuck at the border, wishing to cross to come to America. But those guys didn't come from Mexico. Those guys came from Chile, Brazil, deep down South America, where they crossed probably 8 to 9 countries, took them 2 weeks to 2 months,
Two
depending on,
months.
yeah,
Yes.
for some of
Yes.
them,
Yes.
walking, catching the bus,
Yes.
swimming, doing whatever they could to come to America for a better life, and then they got stuck in Tijuana. And that was heartbreaking because they were living under conditions that were not great at all. Some of them were able to do it to cross the other side, so they were in San Diego. So I think you visited some of them in San Diego, right?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah,
I met several people, heard several um excruciating testimonies, heard about a lot of people who lost their lives on that journey.
yeah,
Um and really victims of a global economy that just is not working.
yeah,
And when we think about what's happening in this part of the world and this hemisphere, the people who are catching the most hell, to be quite honest, have been Haitians.
yeah. No,
Have really, have been Haitians. And you spoke to it earlier at the top of our conversation, or just about and I think about Haiti and I think about Haitian people, and I'm like, y'all are it for me in terms of leaders of Black people who have just are just champions for Black people, period, but who fought, who won, who set the tone for Black people and the Black world and what's possible for us.
completely. People
Like,
don't people
completely.
don't say it loud enough, because
Yeah, I mean, I
I
see Haiti as a mecca.
yeah,
I'm like, this to me is like one of the places you must go, you must
yeah.
visit, these are the people you must connect with. And
I'll tell you something, back
yeah.
then, back in the 90s, just that year when Nelson Mandela became president, I was in South Africa, and somehow
Mhm.
people wanted to introduce us because they knew the love of
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela towards Haiti and towards the
Yeah.
Haitian leaders. So
Yeah.
somehow that meeting happened. And that
Oh.
meeting happened just because I was Haitian before all. You know what I mean? And himself, he was telling me how much he admired some of the heroes. So you're right. I mean, Haiti has done so much, for the Black cause,
Yes.
that if people don't pay attention to
Yeah.
history, they will never know. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the state of Haiti right now,
Yeah.
it doesn't really represent a
Yeah.
place where we had great heroes. So we always have to bring that back in the conversation, and maybe by bringing that back in the conversation, it might sort of or maybe tell us why Haiti is in this kind of situation. Because is it on purpose? Is it by design? So those
Right.
are those questions that are always there, but are never well answered, or are never clear enough for anyone to understand, to clearly understand. And yeah, we have theories that it's probably based on the fact that Haiti, you know, kicked Napoleon's butt. That we still suffer quite a bit, from
Yeah.
all kind of pressures, pressures from France, pressures from America, from Canada, from all those people around us. So yeah, it's you're right, and you and I, we're all connected. You're my sister, because
That's
most
true.
most Haitians are straight from West Africa, not to say Nigeria, Benin, or Cameroon. So
Yeah.
somehow, the blood is the same. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of history, of connection, and I don't know, you know a little bit about this, or maybe you can tell me a little, because I mean, I think, one, you clearly traveled to the continent. You clearly have acted in many, African films and
Yeah,
different types of films. You've been a part of all sorts of different projects, both TV as well as the big screen, and we're clearly just on the continent at the Luxor Film Festival, and
yeah.
you're always doing so
I'm out
much.
there.
But I'm wondering if you could also tell us a little bit about this history, or what you know of, or what you understand of the West African connection to Haiti, because I think it is important for us, especially we're on a platform like this, and I'm seeing different friends and different people chatting and kind of giving shout outs, and people from around the world are able to listen into this conversation. They're here right now.
Yeah.
And we're in a time where I think people are recognizing just how interconnected we truly are. And so I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit just to that connection, the Africa to Haiti
Yeah.
connection.
I mean, I think straight away the number one thing that you get is the tradition. The traditions are the same.
Mm.
And I'm gonna bring it straight back to spirituality, because I think that's the strongest connection. The traditional beliefs, the spiritual beliefs from Haiti go straight to Africa, or come straight from Africa. And I see it from your people in Nigeria. I see it from the people in Benin, from the people in Cameroon. We have the same beliefs. So, and of course, not talking about, the music and the food and everything else. I mean, shoot, when I go to Nigeria, if I don't open my mouth, most people think I'm Nigerian. So,
Yeah.
so there is a lot in common, but somehow, I think by design, once again, we're not supposed to connect those dots. We're not supposed to understand that we come from that motherland, that we have roots that are really deeply connected to the lands and to the land. And yeah, I think a lot of us are being bamboozled by not to say the Western culture, but yes, by the Western culture to some
You can
level.
say that here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's good to recognize who you are. It's good to
Yes.
put value on your identity,
Yes.
and I think that is not done enough. So that's why personally, it's a quest. That's why I get involved in a lot of African projects. Whether it's Nigerians, whether it's Ghanaians, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, you name it. I mean, I go everywhere. I just came back from Egypt like 4 or 5 days ago, and I'm going to Senegal. I believe it's tomorrow or in 2 days. So the connection is deep. And once again, if I could spend more time in Haiti, that's what I would do as well. It's just that based on a few complications, I can't, but it's really where I would go first, to be honest with you. That's where I started to do most of my work anyway. It's just that
and you were
things
just
got
there.
complicated.
Things are complicated, but you were just there. And I think, to what you were sharing a little bit earlier, part of what I know of you and know what to be true over the years has been that it's so clear your heart is with the people, whether you're on the ground 24/7 or not. Like, we know who you are, we know what you stand for.
I mean,
no denying that, and it's in your voice, it's in your voice, so we know
the passion is there. But for some of the people to understand that we're not setting this up, you've been to Haiti. You're connected to the land as well. It's not like you're talking out of, no, you know what's going on.
Yeah. And I like I said, I love Haiti. It is Mecca to me. I've spent many years not only paying attention to the issues, focus on the issues, working with Haitian migrant communities here in the U.S., organizing for TPS or other forms of protections, but also sending delegations of people and fundraising for people to go and connect with human rights organizations and movements on the ground. And even before I was able to go, I was sending people to go. And then thankfully, about a year and a half, 2 years ago almost, gosh, this pandemic has my mind just twisted in terms of timing.
It's been a year now,
Yeah, a little bit over a year ago, I was able to go and connect with the people, and I was invited to participate in a series of discussions and testimonials and even rallies and protests. And that time was really about cholera, actually.
Yeah.
So as you know,
I guess Haiti has had so many issues.
Listen, I don't even. I'm like, how many things have we just touched on? And this conversation is wide ranging, in part because Haiti in some ways has been a dumping ground, or has been an area where all of the kind of ills and the hardships of the West continue to be manifest. Not only economically, but if we talk about climate, right? The climate change and the impact of what happens in the Caribbean, in the region, is because of decisions that are being made by Western states and how West is engaging the climate and Mother Earth and how we're treating the planet. And so the adverse impact continues to have undue consequences for the Caribbean region, and specifically, obviously, Haiti being developed or underdeveloped in the way that it's been. It means that there's acute impact when these kinds of quote unquote natural, but I'd say unnatural disasters happen. So, you know, between earthquakes and hurricanes and this and that, like, it just becomes really, really difficult to recoup. Although, yes, I will always say that people are resilient and all that, but there's a lot of things that happen that should not happen.
Anybody who's going through hard time will be resilient. It's just a human nature.
You have to.
People want to believe that the Haitians are the most resilient people. No, it has nothing to do with being Haitian. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you're going through a hard time, you will be resilient. It's just a human trait. That's all it is.
Yep. It's the human, like, we want to survive.
Yeah,
is that
that's
so
it.
Like, we're trying to survive.
That's it.
Is that so special? Is that
I know, but the thing is, it's funny how it's been used, man, lately. The way they use it, like the thing that they do, it's like a compliment. It's not a compliment to be resilient, you know. It's because nobody wants to be in that situation. It's not a compliment to be resilient.
That's
you know what I mean? It's you know, it's best not to be in that situation, not to have to be resilient. You know?
Yes. Because what could people be doing and accomplishing if they weren't going through those types of hardships time and time again? There's a lot of other things people could be doing other than being quote unquote resilient.
No, completely. So
I know
time goes by really quickly.
We'll keep discussing. I see folks, there's a lot of comments.
Hey, I see Wanda is there, Linear Street. I just saw a little something from her. Big up to our people. She's part of the group.
And Toby just said, yes, we all deserve to just exist.
So are we going to take a few questions? Are we going to be reading a few questions, or shall we just keep on doing our thing? Because I'm seeing a lot of things.
People have been asking some questions. And while I try to pull some up, because I'm just trying to remember how to do this myself again, while I pull those up, I do want to ask you something. Is there anything that you think people in the U.S. should know? You know, we're here in the U.S. right now, you and I at least, although you're traveling to Senegal soon, and I know people are tuning in from around the world. But are there things that you think that people in the U.S. should know about what's taking place right now specifically? And I'll just have you answer that, and I'll start to look through some of the questions here.
I mean, first of all, it's good for them to be aware of the situation in Haiti, but more than speaking about all the people in the U.S., well, I don't think that all the people in the U.S. care that much about Haiti. It's really the diaspora, the Haitian diaspora, and the so-called the friends of Haiti that should know that there is really some problems going on in the country, and we should really ask some hard questions to the people in power. We should have some hard questions to the people in power here in America as far as what is going on in the land of Haiti, because there's a strong American presence in Haiti. So, you know, I think it would be fair for the people here to have a clear explanation on the situation in Haiti, just because of the presence of the Americans. I should say that America has the third largest embassy in Haiti.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're gonna invest that much, then, you know, I think the people deserve to know why we're investing that much. Yeah. So I think those questions are legit questions that people should be aware of. And I guess for the diaspora, for the Haitian diaspora, it's you know, there's a lot of confusion as far as really getting the right information out of anybody, because it seems to be that people just publish whatever they want these days, which creates complete confusion. And now we're completely lost as far as what is the real situation in Haiti. I have an idea just because I'm deeply concerned and I'm close to a lot of people. I'm close to a few, people that have good position in Haiti that at least can explain to me what's going on. But it's not easy to understand because even in Haiti, there is complete it's funny because you have different groups, because once again, I'm trying to be very careful with my wording because I don't want to be in trouble because I'm one of those guys that I'm completely in the middle. Okay. I don't want to be seen to be with one group, which in this case might be the government, or with the other group, which could be the opposition or the private sector and civil society. So I can speak, I allow myself to communicate and to speak to all people just so I understand what's going on, But in Haiti, there is a say, the minute you speak to one group, that means you're with that group and they're very close-minded, So it's difficult to dance around and to actually get real information and not to be emotional about the information that you're getting. I think there's a lot of that going on, not to be emotional, just take the information, try to make sense of the information. If you find problem with the information, try to come up with solutions. As simple as that, So yeah, I don't know if that gave you enough time to take a few questions.
We have questions. I think I pulled up a question, but I just want to speak to that point that you raised because I hear what you're saying. And I would just say it like this, it seems to me that the challenges are much bigger than any one party, just similar to the US, right? Where it's like, no, we're talking about structural issues and we're talking about a nation that has been messed with, for lack of a better word, but has really been affected and has a lot of hands that are on it, and as rightfully noted in naming that the embassy that the U.S. has there is the third largest of all the embassies that we have. When you follow the money, like why is that? What is going on? What is our vested interest in Haiti, being the way that it is right now? And so
just to give you a little bit more details, I don't know if we spoke about that as well, is right now the situation in Haiti is that we have a president that's in power. There's one group who believe that he should have terminated his term in February of this year. He's claiming that he should finish his term next year in 22. So now that's the big fight in the country. Some people accept him to stay for another year and some other people don't, because it is not in the constitution for him to stay. But then again, he's defending himself by saying that there is an element in the constitution that allows him to stay. So it's a bit chaotic. And also Haiti doesn't have a parliament right now. We've not had that parliament for quite a bit of time, for about a year now. So some people think that we're heading towards dictatorship, and people are fearful of that just because of the past of Haiti. We've had many dictators in the past, and the president's side is defending himself, of course, by saying that no, he's actually finishing his term. He's trying to also change the constitution. He's trying to come up with a different constitution. That also creates huge debates in the country because some people don't agree with some of the points that he has in the new constitution, and so those are the real problem, and unfortunately the international forces, in Haiti we have what you call a core group, and some people believe that it's the core group that really is managing the country, and the core group is made of America, Canada, France, and some other. So we're not hearing much from all those people either, so and the main question, for me as a Haitian, and also looking at the situation from outside. From outside, Haiti is a small country.
Yes.
If we have a few people causing trouble, it shouldn't be very difficult to go in there and just get rid of, all the bad people and just clean the situation. So the question is, does it benefit a lot of people that Haiti stay in a chaotic situation? Maybe. Who? So those are the big questions, really.
Yeah.
And we do have some answers, level of answers. Maybe not all the answers, but we do have some answers. So that's what I'm saying. For those big things, maybe we can have some professionals coming on board, and we can host whether it's a Zoom or something a bit more professional, where we can have a handful of people where I can be on time.
Yes, we'll have our tech all set up. We certainly will, and we'll partner again with the Union Suite and Diaspora Rising and host maybe a webinar of sorts with a few different panelists and other people to take on specifically some of these core questions.
Really quickly for you. Sorry to cut you. I know you want.
No.
So from Black Lives Matter, now you're pushing more Diaspora Rising. What's going on with Diaspora Rising?
Yes. Okay. So, I'll answer that question. And then I did pull up one question from the Q&A, and people were also giving comments and other things. So we don't have to go into all of those in the queue. Yeah. But, I'll certainly share about that. So, I've been involved and engaged in human rights advocacy work and social justice work for a long time now. And one of the many things that I've done over the years has been Black Lives Matter, and I'll continue to support and engage and advise, and I'm very much so doing all of that. But last year, in the wake of all the uprisings and in the wake of the rolling uprisings in different parts of the world for a number of other issues, some related to state-sanctioned violence, some related to just poor governance, and then a host of other issues. It was clear that there have been a lot of actions that have been going on around the world and have been needing an organized diaspora to be engaged. And so what I essentially launched was something that's been on my heart to launch for years now, but I didn't. And so finally I said, last year, we've got to start. We do need a institution that allows for diaspora communities to get up-to-date information, to find ways for the diaspora to be engaged in solidarity work in a sustainable way, in an effective way, to know how to connect with human rights and civil society organizations on the ground, and key leaders who are trying to advance justice for the people. And so that was in essence why we said, okay, we gotta start Diaspora Rising. We for years now haven't had a Black-led, Black-focused foreign policy entity in DC or New York. And so in essence, we said, like, we're going to start that now. This is the time for us to be creating platforms that really reflect our needs. And as a Nigerian-American, that hyphen or that bridge, what I know to be true is that we've got to be continuing to make those connections real. And we also have to recognize the ways in which the US, UK, France, other Western states have a hand in our quote unquote home countries and our other countries that we also care about. And so this is an opportunity for us to say, okay, we're going to take our role in diaspora a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
We're going to engage in these tougher questions. We want to hold our governments accountable as well for what they're doing in places like Haiti, in places like Nigeria or Senegal, Congo, and so that's in essence what we're up to over there, both doing some of that through educational means, but also really direct advocacy and some cutting edge campaigns. So more and more to come with that. And folks can, go to diasporarising.org. They can even go to diasporarising.org/free Haiti. We have some resources that are already there listed on that site, and we'll be inviting people for a future webinar here in the next couple of weeks as well, so that they can get more information, but also to hear about real organized plans and ways to take real action so we get the results. I'm one of those people who's like, we got to be effective. I'm not just trying to be out here just to talk, but we're trying to raise awareness so that we can have real impact. It's not just about information sharing and just for information's sake, but it's about substantively, materially changing the conditions, of our lives and the quality of our lives. So that's what that's about.
No, that's great. I mean, obviously, up until now, you've been doing a great job, with all the different groups that you've been part of. I mean, that you've founded, So, and you're seeing the result, and I guess that's why you're continuing. So that's why I'm very happy to see that you're going from Black Lives Matter to the world, to diaspora. So that means, now we can actually focus in some of the places that few people talk about, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they're all very important.
And I think they're all very important. And I think it's also important for us to recognize ourselves as global people, as global, citizens, as people whose identities aren't just confined to one kind of aspect of who we are by virtue of our position maybe in the US or somewhere. But no, we're so much more complex than that. And our aspirations are beyond just what's happening in these borders, because we have loved ones who are all around the world. And so why not? But we also know that historically, African liberation struggles, as well as diaspora liberation struggles, have always been in real dialogue, have been in real partnership. And so we're trying to revive, and not only just revive, because it's been happening, but highlight and elevate the ways in which we interact across borders. So there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of work clearly to be done.
There's a lot. Listen, if I can scream free Haiti in 2021, that tells you that there's a lot to be done. Okay, I mean, it's so sad to have to say free Haiti. You know what I mean? It's like, I thought it was done 200 years ago. No. You know what I mean? No, whatever you thought, forget about that.
That's right.
Because not much has changed, for the world, as far as being a black man in this society, and at this point being just being Haitian, in the wrong side of the continent.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway,
you know what? I know we want to wrap up here. We didn't want to go for too long today, but I do want to we can end on this last question, and I think it's really for you, where somebody asked, where do you find hope in such a difficult situation in your country? Where do you find hope? I like the question. I'll always, be the person who's like, we've got to stay hopeful, or we got to look for those openings of hope. So I'm wondering where do you see hope? Well,
hope starts right here. This is hope, because we're talking about it. People are listening, people are sharing, so that means it's one step closer to resolution. For me, this is hope. You know what I mean? And I hope that more and more people will be aware of that, and just so we can bring Haiti out of that terrible crisis that Haiti is going through. Haiti is a beautiful country. It's absolutely beautiful. Not more than 40 years ago, they used to call it La Perle des Antilles, which was the best of the Caribbean, People used to go there on vacation, the likes of Kennedy and all the great people that we have just 40, 50, 60 years ago. So Haiti is still beautiful. They didn't take that away. What changed has been a mindset. The mindset has not been good. We've been dealing with with a way of doing that's been killing the country. And that's what we have to change. So that's why Haiti needs a huge cleanup, from all areas where the focus is on the people, not on the things, not on the material, not on the money, on the people.
Yes.
And that will take a little bit of time, but I believe it's possible. And that's why we're here. That's why I want to continue fighting for better Haiti. And yeah, and I still have hope, of course, In that sense, you can call me resilient.
Yes,
But
yes,
no,
yes.
definitely, I have hope. Of course, I do have hope. Haiti is a beautiful place, and we'll get it together. But right now, what we need is people to pay attention. We need some people to take real actions. We need definitely the people who have hands on Haiti to maybe to release a little bit, release a little bit, and give us a little bit of transparency. Let us know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
I think the Haitians deserve that, and a little bit of freedom and peace in the country would be great.
Yeah, that is beautiful and right on. So long
Yeah.
as we have breath, so long as we're alive, we'll certainly continue to fight. We'll continue to resist. We'll continue to persist. There's
Yeah.
no choice.
Yeah.
There's literally no choice at this point. And I see Haiti and the future of Haiti as being so important for just telling us where are we going as a people, where are we going, what is really going to happen. And so we do have both a moral duty and just responsibility period to continue to stay focused on what's happening. Don't lose sight of what's going on, elevate the voices, and bring together more people to have these types of discussions. And of course, we will bring together some, real leading experts to illuminate some of the key areas for us to take some collective action together. But I think what you shared, earlier was just right on in terms of let us understand that this is a bigger kind of long-standing historical set of challenges, and we're going to need all hands on deck with an eye on actual people, not just extraction or using Haiti for profit for somebody else and all that. We've got to talk about the quality of life and the viability for dignified living of Haitian people, and that has to be first and foremost. And so listening to Haitian people is where we start with that, right?
Yeah, no, completely. So yeah, I mean, really, once again, glad that that you're on board, that you keep raising that voice of yours, and I'm sure more people will be aware, and the goal is to spread the message, to spread the words, and I'm pretty sure by pressing the right people, we will come up with solutions.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm seeing a lot more questions. I don't know. It's
in the box, or we have I scrolling.
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
and then there are people who are just so sweet and just sharing comments and compliments, and people love you, of course. So there's a lot of just like, hey. And then clearly some comments in the thread. So is there anything that you wanted to look, to highlight right now, or
not
in that?
Not really. I mean, well, first of all, thank you to all the people who came through on this little improvised talk. The goal of this is really to let people know that we're aware of what's going on, and we're gonna try to spread it as much as possible. And there are plans, that we're working on, and the ultimate goal is to unlock the situation in Haiti. As simple as that. So before I came on this live, I received quite a few messages from people who want to be part of this conversation. So I'll share that with you off, not in front of everybody, and we will continue with our
Yes.
plan.
Yes.
And yeah, so definitely big up to l'Union Suite, big up to Ariel Dominique, who who's been helpful as well in many ways. And yeah, so let's continue this conversation. Thank you very much again, Opal and Diaspora Rising. Let's keep on rising. I
Yes.
should say, Jean, as they say in my country, ayi bobo.
Yeah, Igbo. Yes, I remember that. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, we're with you. We see you. We see what's going on. We're
yeah,
not going to be silent. Y'all can't be
exactly.
silent. So I think that to me is just so important to let folks know, like, we're not turning a blind eye on the situation. Just like people rose up, even last year in Nigeria with the NSARS movement, and continue
Yes.
to we have kidnappings there too. A lot of other we talk about other things going on over there. So we're not turning a blind eye to our folks in those situations, and clearly not in Haiti.
Yeah.
So we're with you, and we will certainly be doing a follow-up. So people should go ahead and be sure they're tuned in to both the Union Suite, Diaspora Rising. Go to our email list there, sign up. We'll be sending an email invitation for the follow-up conversations that won't be on, maybe they'll be a little bit on Instagram, but we'll have those in other spaces where we can have a more structured discussion with resources and action steps that you can hear about and participate in over there. So
yeah, and
thank you.
One last thing, actually,
Yeah.
the hashtag Free Haiti.
Oh,
just because there's a lot of confusion around that hashtag. I'm gonna say what it means to me.
Yeah.
And how and why I decided to push it.
Yeah.
That hashtag Free Haiti. I think, to be fair, it's difficult to know the origin of a hashtag. It's been around for many, many years, but maybe very silent. And while I was in Haiti 2 weeks ago, I came out with a video, that was to encourage people to go and protest and march and that was, the feedback was quite powerful.
Right.
And then I sort of, in that same moment, I remembered that Free Haiti hashtag, and I was like, oh, let's push that as well. And I pumped it up a little bit. But for me, that cry of Free Haiti, it was mainly against kidnapping and insecurity, And of course, when you say Free Haiti, it's also Free Haiti from everybody that we know have a hand on Haiti. So I guess it's got many meanings, many because I don't know if you follow, but some people might want to attach it to some kind of political groups. That's why I wanted to say that as well.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, there is no attachment to any political group or any group around me that's part of that. Me pushing Free Haiti is just on me, and it's just on me crying for better Haiti. As simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just that some people get it twisted and they just always want to point fingers. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That for me, it's really, let's get Haiti out of that situation. Let's get Haitians to be free really to be able to get out, do whatever they want, whenever they want, without having to worry about being kidnapped
Yes.
or anything like that.
Yes.
So it's really against all that. Whomever is not happy about that, I don't know what to say. I mean, how can you not be happy about that kind of message? You know, you want all Haitians to be free, really. You know what I mean? So that's what that Free Haiti stands for me. And there's no attachment to any other group but to myself. and the thing is, it coincide that it really took the minute I started to put it out, you know. So of course you have a lot of people claiming it, you know, at this point. So I'm gonna let it be as it is now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that was actually a really helpful clarification.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's about Haiti for Haitian people, for the real people,
exactly.
the people on the ground, the everyday people, for the mama, the papa, you know, aunties, cousins, all real people, people in the slums, people, you know, real people, everyday people who deserve a better Haiti. A Haiti that works,
by the way,
that's functional, right?
But by the way, I'm deeply concerned with that. My mom is in Haiti. I have a lot of my family in Haiti.
I know.
Because when I cry Free Haiti, I'm talking for all those people, you know, not just the Haitians, but also my family, also my mom. You know what I mean? And some people know about my past as well, and some of the things that happened to me personally. So I'm also screaming for that.
Yep. I believe you.
Anyway, it's 6 o'clock now. Let's get out.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thanks to everybody who stuck around for the entirety of the conversation and beyond. More soon.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.